Hello, hello, hello. Oh my goodness. Hello, beautiful people. What is going on? You are listening and watching to Tags Live, aka Talk About Gay Sex, the live edition, where we are here every hump day. This is episode 519. I am your host, back in business, Steve V, alongside partner in crime, Kodi Maurice Doggette. How the hell you doing, Kodi?
Hello, darling. Oh, hi, it's you. I didn't see you there.
Oh, look.
Oh, look, it's you. That always
Exactly. Right. We were joking about that on my social media that I do.
Oh,
So
yeah.
funny. Yes.
Yes.
It's funny
so cute.
because 2 weeks ago, we were in front of our live virtual audience. Hi, Bryce. Hi, Alan, as they keep coming aboard on this Wednesday night for episode 519. I'm glad to be back. Great job last week hosting the show with Teddy Alexis. And 2 weeks ago, you and I were here in Puerto Vallarta, where I'm now, and we did our live show. And it's so funny being back behind our normal the computer screen as opposed to like the live audio. What do you prefer, actually?
You know what? Now that you say behind the computer screen, I really get off on having the audience there. It's a whole nother animal. It's invigorating. The audience gives you life. So I love that. I am kind of in love with that. I think we should do more of those, honestly.
I definitely agree. We should definitely do more of them because it's really a great way to connect the show. I think the formatting needs to be a little bit different because, when you're talking to people in the audience, you need to be a little bit bigger. The topics need to be a little bit bigger. And I think here I also like too, because we can get to nitty gritty our viewpoints a little bit easier, I feel, in this. But I like both. And so we will definitely keep both going. Well, we definitely, before we get into this amazing show that we have planned for you tonight, and like I said, we are live. We just dropped our brand new podcast 4 weeks ago, and it's called Of a Certain Age. OACA, Of a Certain Age. It's available wherever you get your podcasts. And we are on episode number 4, and we just wanted to plug it because this week, that dropped this morning, we have Susan Bratton. She's an intimacy expert, and I learned so much on this show. I've listened to it probably 3 or 4 times, and everything from supplements that you can keep being ageless to supplements and life strategies that will keep you young and virile. Virile, is that the name of the word there? For life.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, virile. I want to be virile all my entire life. And Susan is such an amazing guest. She's so knowledgeable. She's so effervescent. And I just loved talking to her. So shout out to Susan Bratton. We love you, babes.
Yes. Of a Certain Age podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts. OACA, Of a Certain Age. You can follow us on Instagram, Of a Certain Age Pod, POD. And if you haven't checked it out yet, you need to, because you're also going to hear our theme song sung by the one and only Kodi Maurice Doggette, and it's the title track Of a Certain Age, and I love the song so much. He's going to be releasing it in the new year, so it will be available for download. So check that out. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, we definitely needed to get into hot topics, and yesterday marked Transgender Awareness Week, and a lot of people are wondering why this matters. Well, this year in particular, I think it matters more than ever before. It comes this November, which it grew out of Transgender Day of Remembrance, the Day of Remembrance taking place November 20th. And that was founded back in 1999 by an activist, Gwendolyn Ann Smith, to honor Rita Hester, a trans woman that was sadly killed in 1998. And all those lost to anti-trans violence. Well, now we not only celebrate the passing of her, but the week includes recognizing trans people's resilience. And especially, Kodi, as we're in the face of so many political attacks around the nation, especially in the past few years. And more than 20 states have passed laws banning gender affirming care for trans youth and restricting trans students' participation in school sports. So obviously the restrooms situation is a huge deal in all of this, but I think it's a really great week to honor transgender and a reminder that they, if any part of our acronym needs support, it's the transgender community more than ever. What do you think?
No, I totally agree with you. I think this week is an excellent way to show our trans brothers and sisters that we love and support them, especially in this time when, like you said, in the face of all this rhetoric that we are seeing in this day and age about how the transgender is not looked at in a positive light. I want to say there's so many people coming out and attacking our transgender brothers and sisters, and I think that it is completely ludicrous because, of course, they're people as well, and I feel like in there's so many staggering statistics out there about transgender people. One study showed that transgender people are over 4 times more likely than cisgender people to experience violent victimization, and another study showed that they are 7 times more likely to attempt suicide. So I think that this is a very good way for us to show our love and support for them, and I'm going to definitely be out there doing all I can to show them that, you know, that we are not against them, that we are here to support them, and they are loved.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we're going to follow up really quickly with a celebrity that has a child that is trans in just a second. But just to give my 2 cents to this topic, I really think that, do you think it really matters? I mean, I know it matters, but are we preaching to the choir when we talk about transgender? Because who's really, you know, I hope that shows like The View and major shows that have huge audiences that maybe are open to the transgender community but don't have the education get this, because I do think we're still so divided, and
Mhm.
those that are on, say, the conservative right side, Transgender Awareness Week I don't think is really going to have that much of an impact on them. I just think, sadly, and I'm usually a half glass full type of person, but I don't know that it's really going to resonate to those. A 1 week of honoring the community is really going to have an impact. But I do think for those that would totally be accepting, but just don't know somebody that's of the transgender community, this could be impactful. So while we'll talk about it, and places like where we got the story Advocate are posting stories, I do think maybe those that are on the fence or just don't know enough, it will have somewhat more. We need more allies, and so it could help.
I totally agree with you. And like you said, it'll bring people over to kind of experience what that transgender people are actually people. But also, I think more than anything in this time, in order to combat the negative talk that's going on in society right now, we need to be there and support our transgender brothers and sisters.
Yeah, and it takes more than a week, but a week is
Yeah.
definitely great to signify let's get things going more. So yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I
Well,
agree with you.
absolutely. And related to that, this past week, actually, Marlon Wayans this came out of left field for me, but I did not know that he has an older child that is transgender. And he talked about the transition as a parent that he had to make, accepting the transition of his child. Well, he was on the Breakfast Club last Friday, and he said, I have a daughter that transitioned into a son. He says, my daughter, Amai, is now Kai. And then he talked about the experience, what it was like as a parent, and how, which I think this on so many levels, we'll talk about it in a second, but he talked about the experience for him transitioning and accepting that, I think this is so important as well. Quote, my transition as a parent, going from ignorance and denial to complete unconditional love and acceptance, he said, of the idea for the special that he has a new special, and he's going to be talking about this on his brand new, I believe it's a Netflix special, which is kind of cool. And I think, unlike Dave Chappelle, which is always on the fence, like, wait, is he for trans? Is he not? I never really know. I think Marlon Wayans is going to be a good advocate for the transgender community. And it often takes Magic Johnson or people that are in high profile positions in the Black community in particular to make a change. So for me, part of Transgender Awareness Week was, it's interesting that Marlon Wayans said this just last Friday ahead of Transgender Awareness Week. And, he's got this special, he's got to promote this special. But hey, if somebody in the Black community, a comedian in the Black community, that he could actually make a difference, I think. What do you think?
Oh, I totally agree with you. And it's going to be on HBO Max, just so we're clear. It's called God Loves Me, and I can't wait to watch it. It's going to be hilarious from everything that I see about it. Here's the thing about Marlon. It's very clear that he has some work to do still in this arena as far as knowing about transgender issues. He refers to his son as a daughter multiple times. And he's still working on pronouns.
You don't think he got kind of confused a little bit? I heard him say they a couple times, and it takes a minute. And I just think I want to hear more from you, but I think he's going to have such a huge impact. And it's important that we hear not only stories from the transgender community, but that we also hear what it's like for people surrounding the person that's going through transition, because it is a transition for the family as well, I feel.
I agree with you. I could not agree with you more. Like I said, I do think that it's something that he's working on. And his son even said, see, I'm even having issues trying to remember their pronouns and what they're
10 years from now, we won't have this issue, but yeah.
I know, right? So it's an issue because it's not, I don't think of it as something that is necessarily good or bad. It's something that just is at this moment. And he's working on himself. And his son actually said to him, as long as you're trying, I think that makes me the happiest in the world. Because I watched the whole interview and I cannot wait to watch this special. And he said so many brilliant things about how being a parent of a transgender person, how it's changed his mind. And the most important thing that he said for me personally is that he wants all of his kids to be free. And part of that freedom is the freedom to be who you are internally. And as long as you have that, I'm going to love you regardless. And I think that is something that really struck me, and it really made me feel like Marlon is somebody that I can support. Like you mentioned Dave Chappelle. Marlon mentioned Dave Chappelle as well in the interview, and he said that they are unafraid of people not liking them. But so that part also makes me feel a little bit like, okay, Marlon, you still have a little bit of work to do, because the thing that Dave Chappelle did, I feel like he should be listening to the community more about what is proper and how to frame these jokes. Because it's not about the jokes themselves. I feel like the transgender community can take jokes. It's about actual violence being done to transgender people because of these jokes, when it's punching down on transgender people.
Right. And I agree with you. I just think it's a major thing that Marlon Wayans, I love that Marlon Wayans has a transgender child. I think, when Magic Johnson and his child, that I believe is non-binary, that we know of. We should probably look that up before we say that. But that's okay.
Let me look it up.
Well, whatever.
Really quick.
But yeah,
producer.
Right. I know, exactly. The point being is they are such high profile. When Magic Johnson, I know this for sure, came out with HIV back in the day, it was, oh my God, Magic Johnson has HIV, and it was tragic, of course, like anybody at the time that would have been diagnosed with HIV. The difference is being such a high profile celebrity in the public eye that is diagnosed
Mhm.
with HIV that is Black has such an impact on and will resonate more, even more than I feel Transgender Awareness Week will. Marlon Wayans doing a special and talking about his child being a trans male now, Kai, is huge and I think will resonate. And are we all just transitioning and evolving? We are in an evolutionary process that's going on right now in many ways, but this is one of them. And so, yes, I don't think 10, 15 years all of this will be part of our acronym, our dialogue and vernacular. And it won't be, ooh, what pronoun, this or that. It will just be, what is your pronoun, and it'll be second nature. But
Yep.
evolution happens, and Marlon Wayans saying is getting it not perfect and right is fine with me, but he's willing and open. None of us are perfect. Were you going to say
Yeah,
something?
no,
Yeah.
I agree with you. I am not trying to take anything away from Marlon Wayans because I think that he's an amazing parent. But I just wanted to address and recognize the fact that he still has a little ways to go. So that was my only point as far as addressing him. But I think that he's amazing. I think that he is doing all of the things that a loving parent that says that they love their children should do in this instance. It's not to throw them away into the trash. And
Of course not.
it's to support them and to make sure that they have they know that they're still viable as a human being. So yeah, that's all.
Love it. Okay, well, we got to talk about something a little bit serious, and it's Houston. We have a problem. I'm talking about Texas, of course, with discriminating, an insurance company potentially discriminating against HIV positive people. Well, in Texas, health insurance carrier is potentially discriminating against HIV patients. And that's what HIV Hepatitis Policy Institute is alleging. And it's a recent complaint that was filed by the advocacy group. And Houston-based Community Health Choice Texas is offering quote unquote substandard HIV drug coverage by not covering recommended drugs for HIV treatment. And this, according to HIV plus HEP. Well, the group adds that the insurance company is placing most of the HIV drugs that it does cover on the highest and mostly payment tier, pushing more of the cost on the patients. Well, the complaint was filed with the Center for Consumer Information and Insurance Oversight, and this is a government agency, y'all, that helps implement reforms to the Affordable Care Act. Well, it included accusations that Community Health Choice Texas is acting in deceptive manners by listing over, get this, 100 HIV drugs it covers. But when they really looked over the list of 100 drugs that they covered, many of them were outdated. Some of them were generic and repeated. So it really wasn't 100 drugs that they're actually covering. And they think that so a lot of what Community Health Choice Texas is doing is not covering many single tablet regimens. So what we mean by that is right now, when somebody's HIV positive, in general, they're down to just one pill that they have to actually take versus, remember the days of the cocktail, you had to take a bunch of them. Well, now it's alleged, but Community Health Choice Texas is actually prescribing that people take the multiple forms. That was back in the 2000 and 2010s.
I was going to say, was that the 90s though? That was the 90s that they were taking the cocktail. That was like,
well, yeah, but even back in the early 2000s as well, because we just did a story the other day about pause socials that were still in the early 2000s that were big in many places. But so this is getting kind of scary because if you're actually not allowing people to get their meds, what would you say, Kodi? Like it's a health scare in many ways for the people that live in Houston. And it doesn't surprise me that it's Texas, particularly because of the governor there, Governor Abbott. And I just think this goes alongside what we hear about Texas often. Sorry, Texas, but this is scary to think that you couldn't get your meds. And who's it going to affect, Kodi? The Black community, people of color, because those are the ones that are ultimately not going to be able to get it's going to be a tiered effect. And when we start messing with people's meds, also don't think that people that are not HIV positive, we're talking about Truvada and PrEP and even the generic forms, that they're messing with it. It's this particular health plan and company. So it's not all across the board. And it is alleged. So we will continue to investigate and report on. But Kodi, when you heard this, what were your first thoughts?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. This is disgusting. But like you said, it's right on trend for the lawmakers in Texas. So I can't even stand behind this. I think that it's completely disgusting. I will never understand how something that could potentially save lives, why anyone would make it so difficult to gain access to that. And it's just another reason for us to advocate for universal health care and things to be the same across the board. I feel like I've said this so many times over the past weeks, like in as many weeks, because it's something that I really believe in. And I think that it's something that we should actually have as one of the top nations in the whole world. It's just ridiculous to me. So I can't understand why we don't have universal health care. And it's funny that you mentioned that this is going to be affecting the Black community in Houston the most. Did you see that graphic at the end of the article?
Tell me.
It says that 30,000 people are the number of people living in Houston with HIV. The percentage of Black people in Houston is 18%, but the percentage of Black people among new HIV diagnoses in Houston is 48%. The disparity in that is insane to me. And I cannot, once I saw that, I was like, oh, they don't care because it's killing Black people.
Right. And I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Houston is primarily more Republican city, I think. I don't know, but I think it is.
I've never been.
I've been there. I have. I was dating a guy there for a minute, and I remember distinctly looking at this is like in the 90s. And I remember looking at his bookshelf after I was already there, and he had the biography of Ronald Reagan. And I'm like, wow.
Wait, you hooked up with him?
We were like dating, almost boyfriends. And I went to visit him, and I said, oh, wow, is that Ronald Reagan's biography on your bookshelf? And he said, yes, I love Ronald Reagan. And I was like, and I almost like booked my flight to get home quicker to Oakland than you could. I mean, it was back in the day when it was a little bit easier too, before 9/11 and all that stuff. So I did actually leave early. Not just because of that.
Cigarette?
But yeah, anyway.
Smoke a cigarette on a plane still?
Well, not that. Not 1978. We are live, though, and people are commenting on this particular topic. And Alan says that they should let Lambda, right? Is what he's saying there, Lambda, legal, involved. They went after United Healthcare for a single thing. Good point. I like that. Bryce, watching us live as well, says living in Texas is a catch-22 nightmare. Yes. And you know what? We don't really mean, Texas has some great spots there. I like Texas just like any other place. And we're not just down on Texas, but when stuff like this comes out, we got to report on it. Bryce also says the government doesn't care about Black people, and far too many Black people don't care about LGBTQ+. Did I read that right, though, Kodi?
Yes, you did. You read it. You read it 100% correct. Wow.
The government doesn't care about Black people, and far too many Black people don't care about LGBTQ+ people.
Yeah. Okay.
You better explain yourself, Bryce. Ella Dad says Houston is an extremely democratic city. Okay, I stand corrected.
You know what? I used to live in Texas when I was very, very, very
Where
young.
didn't you live?
That's why my face was like that a little earlier. I was smiling. I was like, oh, I'm going to tell Steve this, and he's going to say, where haven't you lived it? I think I lived there for maybe a year, and I would have to call my mom and ask her where exactly we lived. But I did live there.
Okay, I like it. This is a hot topic that we will continue to discuss in further episodes, but glad it's firing everybody up because I think it needs to. Let's get into something fun right now, and let's talk about one of our favorite, or at least one of my current favorites, and I don't even love country, but Dixon Dallas is making airwaves right now again. And if you listen to Tag's podcast, you'll know that we've been talking about him. You know, he had a different name at one point. Did you know that? He used to go by
Yeah.
rapper Jake Hill. Well,
Oh, really? That makes
yeah.
so much sense now.
Alter
Okay.
ego rapper Jake Hill. And this is why what we're going to talk about, you know, we've been talking about all of his latest singles he's been dropping this year. Good Looking was one of them. And it's talking about booty shaking, jumping on that, writing this. And his current single that just dropped is actually a song I really like. I'm not even a country fan, but I think this one has a little bit of a different tang side to it.
Vibe.
Vibe. And I'm
Yeah.
going to put this on my playlist. It's called Something to Feel. And on this one, because he's kind of a rapper, country artist, if you will. And in this one, I think he really fuses both of those together. And if I could just read a couple lines, it's called Don't Be Shy. I Like It Rough. It Ain't Enough Until I'm Screaming Your Name. Don't make me beg unless you want it. You know I ain't ashamed. And the lyrics keep going more sexual and unapologetic, if you will. He was recently in a Pride.com interview, and when asked about his sexuality, he said, I haven't disclosed my sexuality. I could be gay, I could be straight, I could be bi. At the end of the day, I feel like it doesn't really matter. There's no law that says I can't write a song about getting my booty cheeks bounced off of. And I'm kind of here for that too. I think today we don't really need to. You listen, if you want to say you're non-binary, if you want to say you're gay, you're bi, you're coming out, great. But you don't owe anybody anything. And if you want to write lyrics like this and song after song and change personas, you should be allowed to. I'm here for this song. I'm going to download it. And I think it's all good, especially in this climate that we're in this climate. that we are in. I think we need more songs like this that are sex positive. And Dixon Dallas is maybe one of my favorite standout artists of 2023. Have a lot of them, but he's definitely one of them. What do you think?
Yeah, I really, really like this song. And when you sent it to me, I was like, oh, okay, another Dixon Dallas. I always want to say
Romp.
Dallas Dixon. I know, another Dixon, whatever his name is. Dixon Dallas song. Okay, cute. But first and foremost, can we talk about the cover art? The cover art is so sexy, and I need his photographer because I might have some singles coming out in the new year, so I need to know what is going
Yes.
on. Yes, but the song is so good. It's so hot, and the 808 is 808ing. It's got a nice hip hop vibe to it, hip hop and country mixed together. So it makes sense that you said that he was a rapper before this. It's unexpected, but I was totally in love with it.
Yeah.
And you read the lyrics, it's very sexy and descriptive. And I started to feel a little bit of something in my nether regions when
Me
he was saying that.
too.
He was like, choke me. And I was like, oh, okay, you got it, baby.
How about the
You're my
cover
boy.
art?
So good. He looks so good.
Yeah.
I haven't downloaded any of his other songs, but I think this one is going to be my first Dixon Dallas song that I'm going to be downloading
Me
because
too. That's so funny. Me too.
I was kind of wary because he was saying that people were worried about queer baiting as far as he is concerned. But I read an interview that he did, and he says, let me get this right. This music is a big FU to his past and growing up in the South and all that it entails around his sexuality. I say good for him. So thank you so much for writing this and fighting the good fight. And yeah, I'm going to go support him because this song is good.
And not for nothing, he might be a little bit, maybe he is, if quote unquote, this is the emergence of the new him. And maybe because country music in general there's a country music out there right now that I forget her name, but she's gone on record to almost say she won't put out any more country music right now because she thinks the actual genre has a lot of things like homophobia and other things that she does not support as a
Really?
person. And yeah, I could find that.
Is she a lesbian?
I don't think she is. I just think she stands up for
Oh, okay.
like humanity, and she doesn't think the community or the country music industry support is very limited, and she doesn't want to put anything out there anymore. Well, I think maybe Dixon Dallas is actually he doesn't want to totally say I'm this or that because it will put a stamp on it. And by not doing that, he's widening his audience because the minute if he said, let's just say, play this out. Let's just say he said, yes, guys, and by the way, I'm gay, and that's why I'm writing all these lyrics. There would be a significant portion of the country music listenership that would immediately ban him and not play his music. And by being a little bit more, what's the word? Just not saying what he really is, it's making it a little more mysterious, and more people are going to be listening to it. So I kind of like where he's going. He may in the end be like, yeah, I don't ever need to disclose my sexuality at all. It's not that you don't need to know who I sleep with in the bedroom, and that's that. But I do think because of the country music genre, this could be a really good thing. So I like that.
Yeah. Okay. Was it Miranda Lambert that was the person?
Yeah. What did she say? Yeah.
I don't know for sure, but I know that she is somebody. Or was it Casey Musgraves?
It's somebody, a younger artist.
Yeah. Both of them are young.
Recent. Okay.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out and we can post it.
Okay. We have to move on, and I think I'm going to. You see, I'm skipping around here because I want to keep the show moving. That's okay.
I got all the notes.
Good. Well, we have to talk about what we thought was our favorite couple earlier this year that tied the knot, and I'm talking about Lukas Gage and Chris Appleton. We've talked a lot about it on this show. Lukas Gage has been in White Lotus season 2, right? Yes. No, season 1. And has been in many other things. Really adorable, great actor. Chris Appleton is a hairstylist to the stars. Think people like Kim Kardashian and more. In fact, when they met and got married, Chris Appleton had Kim Kardashian actually, what do you call it when you do the marriage?
She was the officiant. I saw that. I was like,
so,
girl.
Well, no sooner, and we've been talking about them as our it couple, and the only thing we didn't do was come up with a name for them, like bridge a name for them. Or maybe people did actually, but after 6 months,
do it now.
After 6 months of marriage, they are saying they are getting a divorce. What happens in Vegas? Well, was meant to stay in Vegas because that's where they got married, y'all. And Lukas Gage is 28 and Chris Appleton is 40. Well, they're parting ways. They're filing for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. And it's just, I don't know. It was one of those things that I saw and I'm like, no, because we were so for this couple. I mean, I think, we're going to talk about some other couples like Ricky Martin divorcing Billy Porter, getting a divorce, and many others. But this one, I think because we were talking about it so much because they were so out there. Well, you didn't get married though.
I'm joking.
Well, no, but you were. We'll talk about that in the next story because it's related. But this one kind of hit me hard in many ways because in many ways I think we were all rooting for them, and it was like fairy tale, like, oh my gosh, they're so beautiful together. And I remember Jeremy, our co-host, was all for them, and we just kind of thought, wow, this is so cool. But then on hindsight, I wasn't really that surprised when I read it, not because I was half glass full, but because we remember they barely met. I think they were only together they were only together 6 months for the marriage, but they had only met months before that. And I remember Lukas is 28. I remember myself at 28. I could not have, I wasn't a celebrity and making the money that probably Lukas is making. I was a go-go dancer doing all right with tips, but I do remember I still wanted to experience life. I still hadn't been with as many people that I felt like I needed to be with, experienced the world that I really felt like I needed to experience. Maybe Lukas was on a fast track, but lo and behold, it didn't work out. I don't know. I just think they got caught up. And would it not have killed them to just date and be boyfriends for a while? I mean, now it's like, wah, wah.
Yeah, I hear you. You should literally, you said what was on my mind. Literally, you should see the first line in my notes. It says, I want to be surprised, but I'm not that surprised. And the reason for me is because I feel like their entire relationship has come out of left field, right? They're dating. That kind of came out of left field. We didn't even know Lukas Gage was gay at first until he came out because of his relationship with Chris Appleton. Boom, they're married. That they've been dating for how long? 3 months? And now they're getting married out of left field. So this divorce, while I want to say it surprises me, it does not surprise me, unfortunately, because everything that they have done has been so out of just, it's a surprise. I feel like this is something that just really came out of left field and I don't understand it. Maybe somebody cheated. I don't want to know. Allegedly, I don't want to make any conjecture about what actually happened. I feel
Maybe nothing
like
happened, but they realized that they weren't really, because my sister once said this before. Somebody, I think it was my sister. I'm going to give her credit right now because she's here and I'm in her condo. Thank you very much. But you really do need to know people in the seasons, I feel, at least 1 year, because winter, spring, summer, fall, you got to kind of know them. Donna Summer has an amazing Seasons of Love album, Kodi. And sidebar real quick.
Love her.
The album, it's a full album. Side A is
After
2
Dallas,
seasons,
Dixon.
and each track is like 20 minutes long. And then you flip it over and it's another. I mean, you remember in the 70s when they did songs like that?
I love a nice 12-inch.
Oh my God. The summer and
in every
it's so good.
respect.
But I do think you got to know people through the various seasons. And I'm just thinking about my own dating experiences that I've been on more recently and people that I'm connecting with. It's almost like I can talk about it a little bit, give you a little tidbit here on the show, but I'm not necessarily posting pictures right away of somebody I'm really interested in. Maybe very like, you don't know if it's a friend or not, but I'm not, really pushing it out there. I'm really, because I'm in the moment trying to experience this as we're going along back to the evolution, like we're just in real time. And I don't want to go out there after a couple dates and be like, here's my boo, we are locked together. And because I'm still figuring it out. And if I'm still figuring it out, I don't want to put that out there. Here they are, celebrities, and they put that out there day 1, day 2, and then got married, flew on a jet to Vegas, had Kim Kardashian officiate the wedding, and it all now, and it all seems now like, and now what? Now 6 months later, we're all talking about every LGBTQ platform has been talking about this divorce now, and it's like, I do not want to be the butt of a joke now, and just because I didn't have enough, restraint to just not put it out there so quickly. And I think that's what they did. And in Lukas's case, it's like he's 28. And so he's, in my mind, younger. In Chris's, it's like, you're 40. Couldn't you put a little restraint on but everybody ages in different ways, and it is what it is. But we're here to talk about it, and it gives us a hot topic.
Yeah.
So here we go.
I was kind of smiling when you said, oh, I post this to Instagram. They don't know if it's my friend. I know if it's your friend or not. So that just made me giggle. But as somebody who is coming out of a relationship myself, my heart goes out to them because I'm sure they were in love and that they were trying to make this work. But I don't know if they fully thought about what it took to sustain a marriage, because marriage is hard. It's a lot of work. I've never been married myself, but if I can only guess that it is that much more hard than being in a relationship and living with somebody. And trust me, I know that shit is very, very
Okay.
difficult. So I can only imagine what being a married person is like. It's got to be very, very hard. So I don't think that they thought about that, unfortunately. And I'm really sorry that they're breaking up. And yeah, my heart goes out to them.
I know, and I stand corrected. The Donna Summer album is called Seasons of Love. And thank you, Alan. I was trying to put it in the comment section for those watching us live. She's on a moon with her leg
Oh.
up. I have it on vinyl, Kodi, and I'm going to play it at an upcoming party that we're throwing for Jeremy. And it's so deliciously good.
I can't.
It's everything. It's life. It's such my favorite album. One of my favorite Donna Summer albums. It's so good. So thank you, Alan, for correcting me on that. Yeah. Okay. What else are people saying? Well, okay. Yeah. There was a follow-up topic that asked the question recently that, and it's not pulling up, why are so many gay men single? Recent social media, love is a battlefield. It's no secret that we've been talking about Lukas Gage, Chris Appleton, Ricky Martin, Juan Joseph, Russell Tovey, and Steve Brockman, Billy Porter, and Adam Smith, all calling it quits.
And me.
Well, and Kodi Maurice and his boyfriend, which we've talked about on this show too, boo.
I know. Yeah.
Well,
yes.
A recent topic begs the question, why are the gays struggling to stay in relationships? Well, recently on X, formerly gay Twitter, they took to social media to give their viewpoints on what's going on here. Why are the majority of us gays single? Serious question, somebody wrote, with Beyonce in the background. Well, no surprise, social media monogamy was a huge issue. Well, in 2022, a study from the National Center for Institutional Diversity found that 77% of gay and bi men, as well as 56% of bi women and lesbians, have tried out a non-monogamous relationship. It's no secret, we talk about it on this show, that being polyamorous is becoming bigger and bigger. And, when you make your own money and you're happy and we're becoming more sex positive, Kodi, I'm kind of in this boat too, where I'm thinking, well, I want to be intimate with somebody, and I've been intimate with a couple different people, and I want to continue to explore this intimacy with these people. I don't know that a traditional boxed in way is really my prototype at all. And I can see where no, I don't, because I'm also 52 now, and it's like, haven't been in a traditional monogamous relationship in a while, but I am really intrigued because I think polyamory, you can have these really special, intimate relationships, and you can have them happen with, I could probably have like two going on at one time, but you're going to get all of me when you are with me. And I just think it's so the way we're going, and it's evolution, and I'm here for it. So I think that's one of the reasons. I don't know that Lukas Gage and Chris Appleton fall into this thing. I just think they moved too quickly. And what was the rush to get married? And why'd you have to have Kim Kardashian officiate and all that bullshit? It's just like, like, grow up. What are your thoughts?
I have so many thoughts on this. I think
the main show.
I know, right? And we have some things to get to still. So I'm going to try and keep it points. I'm going to get to as succinct as possible. The main issues are, I think that gay men haven't been socialized to think or to wrap their minds around what a relationship would look like for them. And like Teddy and I talked about in issue 517, there are just too many options out there, especially in the inception of Grindr and things of that nature. We can just go on our phone and get sex in 2 seconds. Men in general, for me, as far as I have experienced, are already inundated by the world, that they are hypersexual, and that they are able to spread their seed around as much as possible. You add that on to two men being in a relationship, each spreading their seed and doing all the things that they want to do. I feel like a fucking farmer at this point. I think that we are just told that we are, by society, that we are not supposed to be in a relationship. And I think that also what happens is a lot of times gay guys have not seen an example of what a healthy relationship is like for two gay men to be in a relationship. And I think that that is something that is hindering people. And then lastly, relationships are hard. I said it in the story before, and I just think that people aren't willing to stick it out in this day and age, especially when they have so many options available to them.
Yeah, and you're speaking to gay men, and I also feel like in the hetero world too, there's divorce happening left and right. I mean,
Oh
we don't have the
yeah.
numbers to pull it up right now, but it's not my parents that were together for 56 years, time and day anymore. And so I just think I don't know that we were necessarily meant to be monogamous in this lifetime. I think that's a construct. That's my viewpoint. I just think not necessarily. But that's why polyamory makes more sense to me than open relationships. I don't think we have time to do the story today on the Reddit that we were going to give some advice, but it had to do with open relationships and not being on the same page with this particular couple. And I feel like open relationships can get a little dicey for me. And I'm just speaking for myself. Polyamorous relationships and really connecting with individuals. And I'm not talking about having like 9 different, I don't have enough time in the day to have like all these, but where it speaks to me is I connect with certain people, but I think at 52, I haven't been in a relationship in so many years, but I've connected with certain people, and I could see myself being in really special relationships with a couple of these people, and not. But when I'm with you, I am going to be with you. You are going to get Stevie Rodriguez 100%. When I'm with this other person, I'm also going to be 100% with it too. And I just think it's the way of the world right now. And I'm a citizen of the world, darling. And so with that, I don't know that I'm of the construct of traditional monogamy. I mean, I just don't know that I'm there. And I think a lot of people, yeah, it's like we can all make our own money now. We don't have to have heteronormative constructs that were 1950s. You get married, no disrespect to my parents, and you stay married to that same person your whole life, and that's all there ever is. I don't know that was the way that it was supposed to be. No, I don't think so. And I'm very progressive in my mind. So no.
I hear
This
you.
is where I'm at right now.
I hear you,
I
and
just am.
and I respect your opinion. However, I don't necessarily agree that that is the way that society is going, because I feel like you have to decide for yourself what kind of relationship you want, and maybe you
But
are
most people
not.
don't
Or
want that
well, I don't
anymore.
know. You can't. I don't know if you can say that, because I feel like you would have to do a study of how many people want to have open relationships, because I feel like it doesn't work for a lot of people out there. So
Right.
I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon of saying that everybody wants an open relationship,
Oh,
because I don't know
no.
if that's true or not.
Well,
But
and
I
I
think that,
definitely did not say that.
okay, all
I
right.
did
But
not
I
say
think,
well, I definitely did not say everybody wants an open relationship. Now, I said we
okay,
have more options. You did not hear me say that.
I heard you, but
I didn't say
I'm just
everybody wants an open relationship now. That
okay.
was
What
not the
did you say?
quote. I
So
said there's more options for people, and many younger people or people in general are considering these because it's not the 1950s anymore. But I never said that everybody wants that. That was never, well, I'll play the playback. And that was never the quote that I said. I would never speak for everybody. I don't know
no,
everybody. And I
I
think
think
plenty,
that
I have friends that are in monogamous relationships and are very happy. That's not, if I did say that, then I misspoke, but because I do not believe that. I don't.
okay. Yeah,
But I
that's
don't
all I
think I
wanted to
said
say.
that. I'm pretty sure I didn't
Okay.
say that.
I
So
don't
I will,
I'm not quite
I edit
sure.
the show and I will re-listen to that to make sure if I said that. I would be very surprised if
I don't think you said everybody,
if I
but
said everybody, I will be like, wow,
I
I
think
can't
you
believe I
said the
said
vast
everybody.
majority of people. But I just want to say that everybody should decide for themselves because I personally think that I am built for a monogamous relationship. So that is not taken into account my experience. So I think
Right.
that everybody should have to decide for themselves at the end of the
And
day.
that's what I was always saying too.
Okay,
And
cool. Then we
but
agree.
I don't know that I am built for that traditional. What I was saying is that traditional 1950s that I just think no, it's like I don't think that's represents an evolving sexuality that we are all seeing. I think that's why polyamory speaks more to me versus open relationships because polyamory is intimate and you are giving your whole self. Open relationships, you're not into, you're just having sex, and that's fine too. But I'm into more of a polyamorous type of mentality. So yeah, we have so many things people saying,
I
and
know.
Doug says my mother's younger cousin and his husband have been together since I was 10, so 1987. See, and they're to your point, and which what I was saying too, that people can be in long-term relationships. Bryce says this podcast is about discussion, dear. Oh well, sorry, somebody's saying something else. They're having their own conversation there,
They are
and
definitely.
yes, we have some time. I think we need to give advice. Yes,
Yes.
Kodi.
Oh,
And
definitely.
it comes from Instagram. And you guys can always write into us, DM us, write into our podcast, and ask us for sex and relationship advice. And it comes from Carlos. Thank you so much, Carlos. Hello, Steve Tags Podcast. I wanted to write in about a certain incident that happened to me in West Hollywood. I went to WeHo this past weekend to celebrate my birthday, and my boyfriend of 4 years and my straight brother, who doesn't mind going out with us in gay spaces and is usually a good sport about going out. Well, we started at the only gay sports bar in WeHo called Gym Bar. I know it very well. Since my brother wanted to watch the Raiders before we went bar hopping. And it was all good vibes and drinks going on up until this guy approaches us. First, he says hello. He was older and about 6 foot and a bear. At first, we thought he was being friendly and giving compliments. However, he then started to tell my brother and my boyfriend how hot they were and what brings them out. I noticed he didn't exchange names, and I introduced us to him and mentioned how I am out with my boyfriend and brother. He then was shocked and started saying to my brother, "You're so fucking hot. It's too bad you're straight." And then he looked at me saying, "How does it feel to have a younger brother and boyfriend who's hotter than you?" Can we just take a gasp moment? That's me
Oh my
talking.
goodness.
And we all looked at each other like, hello, why is this guy being catty with me? He then started to guess our ages. And in a weird predictory way, he kept saying my boyfriend was 14 and my brother was 18 and looked at me and looked me up and down and said I was 46. I was shocked, of course, since I'm out here celebrating my 28th birthday and have been complimented before on how I look younger. My boyfriend started to defend me and told me he looks 85 and the guy said he's 51. The guy then looked at me again and said you can try Botox, it will help a lot. And then he said that he would still fuck me, and I was appalled and said no thanks, go fuck yourself. And then he walked away and kept looking at us until we left. All right, lastly, this made me feel really uncomfortable and sad because I've been on a weight loss journey and been doing skincare routines and working on my mental health. I feel like this guy shot down my confidence just because he saw me in the way because he probably wanted to get with my brother or boyfriend and decided to try to tear me down. It was just sad because I expected him, since he is older, well, come on now. and a bear build, that he was more accepting of people and wouldn't try to tear someone younger down. I've been listening to your other podcast, OACA, of a certain age. Thank you so much, Carlos.
Ooh, thank you,
Huge fan,
Carlos.
and it's really opened my mind to aging and not to be afraid of it. However, him coming after my appearance and age did affect me. It made me wonder how this guy in his 50s, who should be mature, what it's like to age, and how could he be so cruel? My question is, how do I encounter a mean gay, and how can I handle a situation like this? Well, the middle finger works really well, and you can do it many different ways.
I
I'm
almost
doing it.
collapsed in the microphone.
You can kind of do
You
it
can't make me laugh that
like you can be
hard.
subtle with it. You can do it. I just made that up, Kodi, right now. Like, I didn't even think of my response, but you can really do it in many ways, and you can tell somebody to go fuck yourself, which I've done many times. And when somebody's being clearly rude like that, I think you handled it really well, as did your boyfriend and your brother. Yeah, this guy is clearly insecure and jealous and just needs to get over himself. And the fact that you spent that amount of time letting him in your aura, and I understand when you're in a bar situation, it's not so easy. You don't want to cause a scene. But when somebody comes in your personal space, it's okay to say, you know what, we are not interested. When they cross that line for you, it is okay to say, we are not interested in talking to you anymore. Walk away. You've insulted me and my company here, or me in particular. And you know what? You deserve that 28th birthday. I know you look fabulous. And he's a jealous, bitter queen. I do not say that lightly, because sadly, there are jealous, bitter queens out there. And it's sad because they need to do the work. We're all doing the work. But this particular person needs to do a lot more work, and they brought that energy into your aura. And the minute you next time come across that, you just, shut it down immediately. Kodi?
Yes, I agree with you 100%. First and foremost, I want to
Sorry,
say...
Carlos, I'm fired up with this. I have to have a drink now. Doesn't take much, but...
Just because someone is older does not make them mature, and this person sounds very immature to me, right?
Yeah.
I think we can all agree on that, because I know a lot of old shitheads. So I think that my advice would be to get mad, feel your feelings, but don't do anything that would get you arrested. How about that?
Absolutely. Well, thank you.
Yes. And then also realize that this person, like you said, Steve, is somebody who probably needs to do a lot of work on themselves. They're probably very unhappy with themselves. And you should take a lot of solace in the fact that you are who you are, and you can't let something like this devalue you, because I think that, and also lean into your brother and your boyfriend, who I'm sure are very, very supportive of you, and just realize that this is somebody that is probably unhinged, and his opinion does not matter to you. I say on here several times that put a lot of effort and validity into the things that people who are loving on you say, and a little bit less validity and weight on people that are not loving you, what they have to say. So
beautifully
that's my
stated,
advice.
Beautifully stated, Kodi. And not for nothing, we are all, it's easier said than done. I'm going to just preface what I'm about to say. Easier, not what you said, but what I'm about to say, because I think your advice was really sound, is that when you come across somebody that is says something like that to you, that's really on them. It's, I'm sure there's a Maya Angelou quote that we could pull up in a minute, but it's really on them, right? They're showing who they are, is exactly. And the thing about it is you can distance yourself from when they do something like that too. But a lot of us, because people can say things all the time. Kodi and I spent a week together, and one of us said something because we were in close quarters. We ultimately, I feel, grew as friends and collaborators on this show. But
Definitely.
We had a couple moments where we were like, oh, I didn't realize that I said that. But we brought it up and we worked it out. And I think that's kind of the whole thing too. You can't always be a product of what somebody says. People are going to come up to you and they're going to say things, and they're going to maybe affect your emotions. So the minute we walk out our doors, especially in New York and major cities, you can't control what people are going to say to you. And if you're totally emotional, everybody's going to affect you. And so
Yeah.
what you have to be able to do is process and realize, okay, they're going through something, but as long you have to just continuously, this is my viewpoint, work on yourself to be solid in your footprints and your footsteps so that you know who you are, so that when somebody, when I walk out the door in Puerto Vallarta and somebody says something to me that, and they say, who the fuck are you? What are you wearing? I'm like, you know what? I am solid, and I am, and I'm not going to bite your head off or anything, but look, you're not going to affect me, because if we didn't, we would be falling over left and right, because people yell out things all the time in New York City, like, the F word. I'm
The
talking
F
about
word.
the
Yeah.
word, and it could wilt you down if you let it. But you need to. I'm doing the work to be so solid every single day, and it's a work. I set an intention every day. I've said it on the show, and it 90% of the time works, but every so often I have my moments too. But you know what? I don't beat myself up. I just work on. It's like another day to renew. So yeah.
I agree with you. And I probably would have cussed them out. I would have probably said, you know what? I don't want to get Botox. I'm going to go and botch like you need to be doing.
But and don't be afraid to say walk away, absolutely. Carlos, we love you. We
love
see
you, Carlos.
Happy belated 28th birthday. I'm
If
glad
you
you're
need a read,
surrounded
call
by
me.
an ally like your brother and your boyfriend, but thank you for writing in, and we've all been through this. So yeah, as Bryce says, hurt people hurt people. Mama Maya Angelou, don't bring the negative to my door. Thank you so much, Bryce. And I don't think we have time for our thirst up. We've been going on, and I think I've been away for a minute, so I carried on some of these topics a little longer. I apologize, but we are back next week with all new shows. And right, Kodi?
Yeah, babe. Yeah, 100%.
I want to thank everybody for watching us live. Thank you so much, and for chiming in. You can always follow Kodi. He's a life coach. Follow him at KMD Coaching on Instagram, or follow his sexy, thirsty pictures. If you want a thirst trap, follow Kodi. It's at Mr. Maurice, on the IG. Follow me on the gram. I am _Steve V. We have a brand new podcast, Of a Certain Age. You can follow it on the IG, Of a Certain Age Pod, POD, Of a Certain Age Pod. Of a Certain Age, OACA, OACA, is available wherever you get your podcast. It is on episode number 4. I really love this week's episode with Susan Bratton, intimacy coach. It's so good. I think she gives and gives and gives and gives and gives, and that's what we want. So thank you so much. Go to tagspodcast.com. This show gets repackaged tomorrow wherever you get your podcast. And in the meantime, Kodi,
yes,
continue having hot
gay
gay sex. Thank you, people.